Tron Legacy was better. Tron Ares is out now, and I watched it, and all I have to say is I'm perplexed by this movie. It doesn't make any sense to me as a sequel and a standalone film, because I enjoyed it a lot more than I was actually expecting. I was expecting this movie to be utter dog shit, but I also rolled my eyes several times into eternity, and it has me questioning why this movie even exists. The easiest answer is it's a cash grab, but I had to really dive into this thing to understand what the hell is going on with this film. It's not to say that there isn't a lot to like. Of course there is. I questioned why the hell was Jared Leto even cast in this, but his pretentious and borderline robotic form of acting at times actually kind of helps him in this role as an AI program. So I thought it worked well. I have my beef with Jared Leto here and there, but you know what, Jared? Not bad. Not a bad job. I enjoyed his character. His character is also really funny in the film, too. He roasts the shit out of one of his subordinate programs, Athena, I think her name is, and it's funny. It's one of the best scenes in the movie. The grid looks great. It looks awesome. There are daytime scenes when we see the NCOM grid, and it looks nothing. It looks like nothing compared to what it looks like at nighttime, especially in Tron Legacy. So that kind of stuff is noticeable, and I will say that in certain battle scenes on the grid, especially in the daytime, the green screen and CGI is really noticeable, which is crazy because Tron Legacy somehow looks better despite Tron Ares being made 15 years later. Insanity, guys. But still, the action set pieces are for the most part good, especially the ones with the motorcycle across the streets of New York or wherever the hell they were. Those are pretty good. I actually really like those scenes. In fact, I would say there's one scene that takes place in the NCOM grid and one action scene with the motorcycles that are probably two of my favorite sequences in the film. The hand-to-hand ranges from being good when they have CGI to cover up the stunts to really, really bad when you know the actors can't do the stunts very well, so the directors have to cut around it. It's that kind of action we're talking about. The music, Nine Inch Nails did their thing. It's great. We knew this going in, that the music, at the very least, the music should and would be good. Now, is it as good as Daft Punk's score for Tron Legacy? No. I didn't think it would be based on the soundtrack I was seeing. But, and listen, I will say this, Tron Legacy, whenever their scores and music hits, when End of the Line hits or when Derez starts playing, you feel it more. It's like, oh shit, like it's almost like its own animal for each scene. With Tron Ares, the music started blending together at one point. None of it felt as impactful or as badass as it did in Tron Legacy. Now, granted, there is one soundtrack in this, and it's the song they played in the trailer for Tron Ares, and it's the main one of the album. It's great. I can replay it all the time, and it takes place in my favorite sequence of the film when NCOM starts getting invaded by Dillinger's Red programs. And this has a lot of cool ideas, new concepts added to the lore, especially when it comes to permanence. Basically, how long can a program from the grid stay in the real world? A lot of them can't, and the big competition between the corporations that are feuding in this film is who can figure out permanence first, who can control the time that their programs are able to stay on Earth for. Dillinger can only keep it for like 30 minutes, whereas NCOM, they might be having a breakthrough to figure this permanence thing out. That's the main crux of the film. That's the main conflict that's happening. So it adds a lot of stakes to scenes where Jared Leto's character has to do something on Earth, but he's on a clock. He only has like 25 minutes before he dissolves back to the grid. So it really adds a lot to those sequences. I really enjoyed it. I really wish that the creator, Dillinger, the dude who's now the grandson taking over the company, one thing I really liked was the back and forth between him and Ares. The fact that Ares is starting to turn on him because Dillinger's treating them all like fucking pets, like disposable, expendable idiots. We've seen this done many times, right? Between, a creator and his AI, the AI wants to be human and the creator's abusive and all this shit, so they revolt. We've seen this everywhere, but I actually found that compelling because I find Ares to be a compelling character in this, and I think it would have been sick in Tron because, guess what? Imagine Ares, the program, having to figure out how to maneuver around the grid when Dillinger is controlling the grid with his code and manipulating the grid, manipulating reality itself, and seeing this guy try to escape all that. Imagine the creator of the grid for Dillinger's systems replicating and shape-shifting the goddamn entire reality of the grid to hunt this dude down, and this dude's trying to survive it. Imagine how cool that is as a concept. I wish they would have touched on that, and they could have if they stayed in the grid longer in this film, but they didn't because they opted to favor screen time to other things, which we're going to get to. And there's one scene where Dillinger's hacking into NCOM, and we see the representation of hacking into someone with code being shown in the grid, which is basically his soldiers fighting against theirs, and it's sick. I really like that. Now we get to the shite. The stuff that grinds this movie to a halt, unfortunately. Now, you see there are three characters here. And these three characters, two of them, which are Jared Leto and her, are given the most screen time. He is just like this idiot sidekick in the back. Only one of these characters is worth watching in the film, in my opinion. Only one is compelling and interesting. The other two are not. Unfortunately, this one gets a lot of fucking screen time. She is the new CEO of Encom. So after Flynn left and after the company started changing leadership, I don't know how, by the way, I think this movie takes place 20 years after the first one? It takes place a long time because Cillian Murphy's character is an old man in this world. I think. He's a grandfather. I could be completely wrong. Maybe someone can fact check me, but he's nowhere to be found. I think his character is I don't know. Scratch whatever I just said. I have no idea where he is in the lineage, but he's not even touched on in this film. She is the CEO of Encom, and her sister, spoiler, not spoiler, it's set up in the beginning of the movie. Her sister, who's the other half of this company, is dead. So she's gonna have to take on the reign now and figure things out for herself. She has a lot to her. CEO of Encom, biker extraordinaire. She can ride a bike better than Sam could in Tron Legacy. She's the center point of the film because she's the one who's figured out permanence. She found Flynn's formula. The problem is she's not interesting at all. She's not compelling at all, and the movie really wants her to be, but it can't get you to that point. The movie it doesn't shy away from showing you how morally good this character is, right? It gives us tons of exposition, in fact, on how and why she is the way she is, but there's nothing to her besides that. She herself was not an interesting character. Every time it focused on her, and Jeremy Johns mentioned this as well in his review, and I actually agree with him wholeheartedly. Every time she's on screen, I'm waiting for it to get back to Ares or the evil CEO, who was really, really evil in this film. She has endless plot armor. Endless. There's a scene where she's being chased by these other two programs on their crazy bikes, and she somehow makes both of them her bitches. Yeah. Every time she's in the shit, she gets saved or miraculously through some miracle gets the upper hand, blah, blah, blah. And it's fine. Sam also had a lot of plot armor in Tron Legacy, you could argue. But one of these characters is more interesting and likable than the other. And that's just down to writing the personality well. They didn't at all. And also to the fact that she's not needed in this plot at all. This could have been between Ares and Dillinger, and that would be great. No, they had to fucking thrust her in because for some odd reason, Hollywood, it cannot keep a non-human protagonist. They need to add another human in there to make us relate, even though we don't give a shit about that person. That's my biggest fear with Predator Badlands too. And it's so obvious who's going to be the villain, who's going to be the hero, because this dude, he's very clearly going down the evil route, and they're trying hard to tell you he's really bad, he's doing really bad things, whereas her, she's so morally good. Look at all these things she's done. It's just, you know when writing gets so predictable to the point where okay, we know what they're doing, we know what they're trying to set up here. The problem is, that's fine if the protagonist who you're glazing is interesting or likable. She's not either. Again, him and Ares, that should have been the film. Their rivalry. Because the scenes they had were great. And the movie's pacing suffers from the fact that there's so much back and forth between them and the grid, which is only shown for 14 minutes, and then her plot, the CEO's plot, and it's all that shit. And then the third act. Here's where we're going to get into spoilers. This is where the movie kind of... It doesn't fall apart in the sense the story itself gets convoluted and makes no sense. It just becomes generic as fuck. So spoiler warning here, okay? You know in the trailer where they show the grid's forces entering our world, and that's the big selling point of the movie trailer? Oh, they're coming into our world now? That's the last 10 to 15 minutes of the film. Literally. And listen, I had my issues with the idea of the grid coming to Earth because I don't find the Earth very interesting compared to the grid. I wanted to only be I really want Tron movies to stay in the grid as much as possible because I think the grid is cool as fuck. I think there's so much you can do with that world, and it's only in there in 15 minutes, and that was kind of disappointing. She basically becomes a discount clue from Tron Legacy. You know how Flynn created a program that was a parallel to himself that could design the world while he was off on Earth? And basically the program got corrupted because in the program's head he was following the directive that Flynn gave him to a T. That's what happens with her. She's I'm following the directive. I need to capture the CEO that we don't give a fuck about as the audience, which is partly why the third act sucks, because we don't care about anything that's happening. But I need to capture her and defeat Ares, right? That she goes crazy. She goes nuts and does this and betrays betrays Dillinger, her master, right? And so Ares is in the 80s version of the grid, which is really cool to see. A lot of OG Tron fans are going to love this sequence. And he meets Flynn. Now, this, I don't know if this is really Flynn. This is an aspect of Flynn that exists in the grid. And he says, oh, I exist here because you do. It wasn't really clear to me how he is the way he is, because he still has the personality of human Flynn. He's not like a robot. So I was like, what is this? It's when Flynn blew up, did like an aspect of himself get transferred into his old system, the 80 system? I don't know. But regardless, they have some cool scenes, and then he comes back. He gains permanence and comes back to have the final fight scene with Ares to save the CEO, Eve, I think her name is, that no one gives a fuck about. So this automatically, this final fight scene doesn't have stakes for me because I don't give a shit about the goal of Athena, who's trying to kill Eve or get her out of here. So he achieves permanence and they have a fight. The fight is awful. The fight's terrible because it's cut to shit. I don't know what's going on. You can tell that the actors can't do their own stunts, so the director had to cut around it. And it's cheesy because the Eve randomly helps throw him a ring, and it's like one of those where you know that this character shouldn't need any help from a human, but the human needs to jump in anyways because, oh, we need to show how great this protagonist is. Like, it's fucking stupid. So he gets cheese permanence, and at the end of the movie, it's teased that he wants to find Cora because she's the only person that's been a program from the grid, and she's an ISO, so she's come here and she's living a human life. So he wants to basically find someone who's experienced what he's experienced, since they're both humans now, technically, I guess. And her and Sam are referenced. I don't believe that if there's a sequel, I don't believe Sam will be coming back, because they do this every time when they have a great protagonist that we love from the first film. For some reason, they're not going to have him back. He's going to have a family somewhere else, or he's going to be dead, I guarantee you. And she, I guess Olivia Wilde, 15 years later, is going to be in the new movie. I don't really see any of them coming back for any long period of time, to be honest. I don't know. I wanted this movie to tie into Tron Legacy, and it did, so I should be thankful, but the ending was just so bad. The third act was just like, I was like, what the fuck is even happening? I don't even care about any of this. There is a cool post-credit scene with this dude where he puts himself into the grid world when the police try to come and arrest him, which is cool. That sets him up as a pretty cool villain. And he gets the disc that his grandfather had for the program called Sark, which was the villain, one of the villains in the original Tron. So that's pretty cool. I mean, they're setting up some interesting things. They're getting back to the lore of the original movie. Like, that's cool. I'm interested to see where that goes, because I want us back in the grid. I don't really care to see Ares on Earth. That's another reason why, as much as I want to see Sam and Cora again, I don't want it to be like a human on Earth story. I want everyone back in the grid, motherfuckers. That's what I want. So that's the problem here, man. This movie confuses me because it had the opportunity to do something different. Unfortunately, it's one of those kinds of movies where it's really enjoyable and you can tell it's entertaining and you're having fun most of the time while you're watching it, but you know it's mid. You know that it doesn't have a lot of substance to it. A lot of people might hate me for this because I know some people are enjoying it online, and I enjoyed it, but there's a caveat. I wanted this to be better than Tron Legacy, and that's fine. Even if you don't match up to Tron Legacy, fine. I really didn't expect it to be as good. Like I said, I expected this to be shit. I enjoyed it more than I was expecting. But while I'm enjoying the film, I'm like, man, this movie's so generic and predictable, though. I know where it's going. I know exactly what the writers are doing. And the dialogue, none of it is that great. The dialogue could have had the opportunity to be 10 times more existential, even philosophical than it could have been. And the reason why it wasn't is because you're not on the grid for long enough. I truly feel like the amount of mysteries of the grid, think about this, beings that can be created out of nowhere, the ISOs that were referenced in Tron Legacy, godlike entities in the grid. Some of them could be scary as fuck too, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of unexplored parts of the grid. It's like our ocean. You've only discovered 5% of it, right? I truly feel like that's like the digital frontier is more interesting than anything happening on Earth. That's why when we do these stories where, oh, the AI wants to be human, he wants to experience Earth, I'm like, bro, that's great, but the idea of humans experiencing the grid is even cooler, because honestly, I don't care about the stories on Earth. Especially in Tron, the great grid is where it's at. I think we need to get back to that. I'm tired of seeing this Terminator AI storyline where the AI overthrows his master and wants to be human. Like, we've seen this a billion times. Let's get off it now. Let's move on. Let's go to the grid again. And I want Sam back. And Cora. Ares, whatever. Bring Sam back! That's it. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.